Okay, let's talk about a single comma rule that, I promise you, trips up so many people on big exams like the SAT. It's all about defining versus non-defining clauses, and honestly, getting this right can be a total game changer for your writing score.
So take a look at this sentence right here. The volunteers who helped at the event were thanked by the organizers. It looks fine, right? But what if I told you that those two little commas completely change the entire meaning and are probably a mistake? Yeah, stick with me because you're about to find out exactly why. And look, this isn't just some random obscure grammar point. This is one of the most common errors that test makers love to sprinkle into exams like the SAT and the IELTS. That means every single time you spot this correctly, you're just scooping up easy points that a lot of other people are going to miss. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get right to the core of essential versus extra info. Then, we're going to unlock the super powerful which versus that rule. After that, I'm going to arm you with a test day toolkit, and we'll finish up by spotting the most common errors so you can avoid them.
All right, let's get right to the heart of it. This entire seemingly complicated concept really just boils down to one simple question. Is this piece of information absolutely essential, or is it just, an extra detail? First up, we have defining clauses. The best way to think about them is as definers. Their whole job is to pinpoint exactly which person or thing we are talking about. And because that info is so critical, there are absolutely no commas allowed. None. For example, check this out. Students who submit their work on time will receive full marks. That little chunk, who submit their work on time, is essential. Why? Well, because it answers the question, which students get full marks? It's not all the students, right? It's only the ones who get their work in on time. Take that clause away, and the whole meaning of the sentence just falls apart.
Now for the total opposite. Non-defining clauses. These guys give you extra non-essential info about a noun that we already know. It's bonus information. And to show everyone that it's just a bonus fact, you wrap it in commas. Kind of like you'd wrap an aside in parentheses.
Now look at this one. Do we know who we're talking about? Yep, absolutely. Professor Chen. The name is already specific, so that means the detail, who will teach the course, is just extra info. The main point is that she's retiring. The clause in the middle just adds a little interesting color.
So here's the bottom line, and this is a really powerful distinction to get. No commas means the information is essential to identify something. Commas mean the information is just a, by the way, detail. That's the signal, the secret code you're sending as a writer.
Okay, so let's build on that and get to what might just be the single most tested grammar rule on the entire SAT, the epic battle of which versus that. And here's the rule, which for test-taking purposes is just beautifully simple. That is for essential info, so it never ever gets a comma before it. Which is for extra info, so it almost always comes right after a comma. That's it. That's the rule.
And this right here gives us the most powerful shortcut you could possibly ask for on a test. If you are staring at multiple choice answers and you see a comma followed immediately by the word that, get rid of it. Just cross it off. It is an instant sign of a wrong answer, 100% of the time. Okay, so you get the theory. But how do you actually apply this when the clock is ticking and you're feeling the pressure? Let's build your toolkit with 3 really simple checks you can use on any sentence. First up is the removal test. This should be your absolute go-to strategy. You just cover up the clause with your finger and read what's left. Then you ask yourself one simple question. Does this sentence still make perfect sense and clearly tell me who or what I'm talking about?
Let's try with this sentence. The clause is, which is the largest river by volume. So, okay, let's just mentally lift that part out for a second.
What do we have left? The Amazon River is in South America. Does that make perfect sense? Yep. Do we still know exactly which river we're talking about? For sure. Since the sentence works perfectly without that clause, the clause was just extra, non-defining information, and it correctly uses commas. Perfect.
Your second tool is the proper noun check, and it's so easy. If the noun is a specific name, like Shakespeare or Paris or the Nile River, it's already identified. That means any descriptive clause that follows is just extra detail and is almost always going to need those commas.
And finally, we've got the all or some test. Just ask yourself, is this clause talking about all the members of a group or just some of them? If it's specifying some, like the students who pass the test, then it's defining. But if it applies to all of them, it's probably just an extra fact, which makes it non-defining. Okay, now that you've got the toolkit, let's put it to work. We're going to do a little rapid-fire round of Spot the Mistake with some of the most common errors people make on these tests. You ready?
Here's the first one. See the problem? The Nile River is a proper noun. We already know which river it is. That means the clause describing it is non-defining, and it's missing its commas.
See, by just popping those 2 commas in, we correctly signal that its length is just some cool extra info. The main point of the sentence, that the Nile flows through 11 countries, is now perfectly clear.
How about this one? This is a classic misplacement error. The clause, "that was bright red," should be describing the hat. But where it is now, it kind of looks like it's describing the meeting. Was the meeting bright red? Probably not.
The rule here is just so simple. The describing clause has to come directly after the thing it's describing. By moving "that was bright red" right next to "hat," the meaning becomes crystal clear, no confusion.
So let's wrap it all up with this quick summary. Defining clauses identify, they use no commas, and they often use that. Non-defining clauses just add extra info, they always use commas, and they use which. But just remember that golden rule. Never ever, comma, that.
So, with the removal test, the proper noun check, and that killer comma that rule in your back pocket, you are seriously ready to tackle these questions with confidence. The only question left is, which one of these common mistakes are you now going to spot and correct every single time?